chair.
Hopefully. No, he didn't. Robin's doing it now.
Yeah.
Once you get through that, it'll be a breeze. All right.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can we all please rise for the pledge of allegiance to be read by Commissioner?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Alden? Present. Commissioner Markowitz?
Present.
Commissioner Lees?
Present.
Commissioner Brooks?
Present.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Present.
Commissioner De Pasquale?
Present.
Chairman Morelli?
Present. We'll start the meeting. I'd just like to make an announcement that case number 3425, which is 470 West Dollar Street, for two family, if anyone's here, that case will be adjourned this evening. And also, I guess that's it. So
Yeah.
we're going to proceed.
We're going
the
to-
first case is 3423, which is an application of a house subdivision on 545 East Dollar Street. I'm going to recuse myself because I live across the street. So, up the street. So I'm going to step down today.
Okay, we're going to do the open for voting first.
Let's vote.
Rocco.
No, we're not doing it. No.
Okay. All right, and let the record indicate the presence of Assistant Corporation Counsel Joseph Lupo. You're welcome. Case number 3420, application of Donna Gentile of 567 Riverside Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-113.2G off-street parking for new off-street parking in the front yard at 567 Riverside Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 93, Lot 101, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application? Commissioner Morelli has introduced a motion to grant the application. Who will second?
Second.
Commissioner Alvarado has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
Grant.
Commissioner Markowitz?
Grant.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Grant.
Commissioner De Pasquale?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
This application has been granted. Case number 3421, application of Alyssa Newberg of 76 Arizona Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5A use, 9-105.5B height, 9-105.5C front yard, 9-1121 off-street parking for third-story addition and second-floor alterations at 76 Arizona Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 240, Lot 16, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll introduce a motion to deny.
Commissioner Alvarado has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
Second.
Commissioner Markowitz has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton? Commissioner Markowitz?
Deny.
Commissioner Lees,
Deny.
Commissioner Brooks,
Deny.
Commissioner Alvarado,
Deny.
Commissioner De Pasquale,
Deny.
Chairman Morelli.
Deny.
This application has been denied. Case number 3422, application of Malachite Housing LLC, care of Manny Malacan of 48 East Old Country Road, Mineola, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-113.2G off-street parking, 9-113.2H off-street parking size, in order to maintain off-street parking at 720 Franklin Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 163, Lot 1 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I move to grant.
Commissioner Markowitz has introduced a motion to grant the application. Who will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner De Pasquale has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton? Commissioner Markowitz?
Grant.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Grant.
Commissioner De Pasquale?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted. Case number 2258, application of 50 Broadway Assets LLC, 50 Broadway Management LLC, White Sands LLC, and 50 West Broadway Development LLC, care of Mosafer Shokrian at 100 West Park Avenue, Suite 306, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.14F side yard, for a modification to variance number 2258 in order to remove the approved restaurant and add additional apartment, and to maintain the concrete deck installed to the side yards at 50 West Boardwalk, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 89, Lot 3, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll introduce a motion to deny.
Commissioner Lees has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Brooks has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton? Commissioner Markowitz?
Deny.
Commissioner Lees?
Deny.
Commissioner Brooks?
Deny.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Deny.
Commissioner De Pasquale?
Deny.
Chairman Morelli. This application has been denied.
Okay, so, getting back to the first case of the evening, this is 3423, 545, Olive. As I mentioned, I am going to recuse myself, as I was on that. All right.
Who's going to take over? Who's going to run the meeting?
Barry Olson.
Okay. Barry, you're running the meeting.
You're second in command.
Seniority thing.
Case number 3423, application of Charles Raffmaieri LLC, 175 Roosevelt Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2J subdivision, for demolishing an existing two-family dwelling, subdividing an 80 by 100 parcel into two 40 by 100 parcels, and constructing two single-family dwellings at 545 East Olive Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 171, Lot 58, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening. My name is Greg Kalnitsky for Chelly Deegan Tirana, LLP, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Tonight I'm Kalnitsky. Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm here on behalf of Charles Raffmaieri LLC, the owner of 545 East Olive Street. I'm joined today by the principal, Charles Raffmaieri, who's sitting over there. This is 545 East Olive Street, Section 59, Block 171, Lot 58. It's located in the Residence C District. The size of this lot is 8,000 square feet, or 80 by 100, which is double the minimum lot size of 40 by 100. The property here is on East Olive between Franklin and Neptune Boulevards. It's presently improved with a single non-conforming, non-FEMA compliant, two-story, two-family home. The home was constructed in the 1930s, like other homes on that block. The first floor consists of 2 bedrooms, an approximately 750 square foot living space that's partially below grade. And the second floor is 4 bedrooms and approximately 2,300 square feet. The driveway per the CO can fit 2 cars, but if you line up the cars in tandem, you could probably fit 3. We're proposing to demolish the non-conforming 2-family residence and construct 2 new single-family FEMA-compliant homes that are 100% conforming to the zoning code and built to FEMA standards. The homes would also be constructed on 2 zoning-compliant lots of 40 by 100. The proposal here is zoning compliant in every respect except what brings us before the board tonight, which is Section 9-105.2J of the Code, which states that in the event that an existing building or structure prevents the subdivision of the plot of ground on which it stands into 2 or more legal building plots, neither such existing building or structure, nor any part thereof, may be demolished or destroyed to accomplish the subdivision of said plot of land into 2 or more legal building plots. The foregoing section of code was in all likelihood adopted to retain some level of subdivision review for the city. And I say that because planning boards typically conduct subdivision reviews and are not subject to the standard of review that area variances have. Long Beach doesn't have a planning board. By inclusion of this provision of the code, the city had some say over what is essentially, in other places, would be an as-of-right application that typically does not require variances. Ms. Lynch, I'm just going to hand up this tax map for the record, and I'll explain why shortly. Just one. I have other stuff too, but. While we're talking about as-of-right applications, I just wanted to make a record that the proposed subdivision will follow pre-existing lot lines drawn on the tax map that I just handed to Ms. Lynch, and in that regard, it's not creating any new lots. This is relevant for the board's consideration because Real Property Law Section 334-A, sub 1, sub B, contains what is known as the old filed map exception. That allows a property owner to make alterations to lot boundaries for purposes of bringing lot boundaries in compliance with current zoning regulations, which is what we propose to do here. The foregoing old filed map exception applies to subdivision maps filed before 1945, and the original map drawing the lot lines in Long Beach was filed in 1911. The map I have handed to you shows along the street 20 by 100 lots. In order to bring them into zoning compliance, they need to be redrawn at the minimum lot size, which is 40 by 100. And the statute provides that it is not necessary to obtain formal subdivision approval under the circumstances presented there. It's important to note 3 things in discussing this application. Number 1, this application will not affect the density in the neighborhood. A 2-family home is being replaced by 2 single-family homes. Number 2, from a zoning perspective, it cannot be a detriment to the community or the neighborhood because the zoning is compliant in every respect except the subdivision provision. Number 3, this is a subdivision application and the city does not require the submission of conceptual plans of what you intend to put there as part of that application. But that underscores the type of review that the zoning board should do when evaluating whether to grant or not, which is, are the lot sizes of the type that are normally in the neighborhood? For purposes of just illustration here, we have a conceptual plot plan that will show you the dimensions of the 2 houses and that what we intend to put there will be 100% zoning compliant. The project offers a number of benefits. Number 1, it eliminates a non-conforming 2-family use that was originally constructed in the 1930s. Number 2, despite a subdivision, there will be no increase in density in the neighborhood. Number 3, 2 100% zoning compliant and FEMA compliant homes that are safer and compliant with the zoning code. The current lower apartment, as I had mentioned to you previously, sits below grade. This poses a substantial safety risk to the occupants of that unit. Whenever there is a substantial rainfall, my clients have told me that that unit frequently takes on water and gets flooded. Number 4, there will be an increase in off-street parking than that which is currently provided, which will improve conditions in the neighborhood. Number 5, the properties are currently rented, but should this board approve, upon completion of construction, the houses will be sold. You'll have 2 families that are invested in the community living there. Number 6, the new dwellings will be constructed with water and energy efficient appliances, which will decrease the burden on city resources. Number 7, it will nominally increase the city's tax base as taxes on 2 single-family new construction homes will be higher than a single 2-family home from the 1930s. Number 8, the applicant can construct, as of right, a 2-family home that would be a 67-foot wide block that would otherwise have the same dimensions as the proposed homes here. We would submit that having two smaller single-family homes with increased breezeways and side yards totaling 26 feet and a house that would only cover 54 feet of the lot frontage is more beneficial and in conformance with the conditions in the neighborhood. To go through the legal criteria, which the board must consider in rendering decisions on variance applications, General City Law 81B provides, in making its determination, the Zoning Board of Appeals shall take into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted, as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. It's respectfully submitted that the application here has no identifiable detriment in so much as it is proposing the construction of two zoning compliant homes on two zoning compliant lots, and it is not increasing the density. The law is structured such that where there is a benefit to the applicant, as there is here, and if there is no detriment, the zoning board should grant the variance. In making such determinations, the board has to consider several factors, one of which, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. Ms. Lynch, I'd like to hand you a study that we did, and I'll go through that with the board right now.
This is one copy, Greg, or?
It's just one copy, and it's several blocks. So we did an empirical study so that the board can have data upon which to base its decision. Boulevards, corner properties were excluded because the character of the neighborhood on those more significant thoroughfares is slightly different, and we were looking for an apples-to-apples comparison. We looked at the subject property block, one block to the north on Walnut, one block to the south on Beach, one block to the east, and one block to the west on Olive. The subject property block had 21 homes, 16 of which were 40 by 100, totaling 76%. On Walnut, 20 out of 23 homes were 40 by 100, totaling 87%. On Beach, 22 out of 24 homes were on a 40 by 100 lot, totaling 92%. To the west, on Olive, 19 out of 23, or 83%, were 40 by 100 lots. To the east, between Neptune and Roosevelt, 17 out of 22 homes were 40 by 100, totaling 77%. The aggregate of that is out of 113 homes, 94 homes were on 40 by 100 lots, which comprise 83% of the homes in that neighborhood. We submit to you that the construction of two single-family homes on zoning-compliant lots is an overwhelming character with the neighborhood. There will be no detriment to nearby properties because at least one of the immediately adjacent neighbors supports the application. You may be hearing from them later. Another factor the board must consider, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The benefit here cannot be achieved without a variance, despite proposing two zoning-compliant homes on two zoning-compliant lots, because the code does not permit the demolition of a structure to effect a subdivision. The only alternative is continuing a non-conforming two-family use, which the law of zoning, as well as the precedent of the board, do not support. Good zoning and planning practice dictate that non-conforming uses should be eliminated where possible. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, the variance requested is the absolute minimum that could be asked of the board. We are not asking for any variances other than permission to demolish the home to effect the subdivision. The project will otherwise be 100% zoning compliant. To say that this is a substantial variance is to say that every single application for a subdivision is a substantial variance. Another factor the board must consider, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. There will be no effect on the physical conditions of the neighborhood as the applicant is proposing the construction of homes on lots that are overwhelmingly present in the neighborhood. The current home only provides 2 parking spaces per the CO and can at most accommodate 3 cars if there is tandem parking, where the new homes could provide upwards of 5 parking spaces each. I'll show you on the plot plan over here. You'll see the curb cut is over here, it'll be 20 feet. It will allow access.
Greg, we can't see.
You have to lift it up, Greg.
You see better here?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. The curb cut's going to be over here. If you pull in to the side of the house, you could fit 2 cars here, The garage that is proposed is going to be a tandem garage, so you could fit up to 2 cars in the interior and 1 car in front of the driveway for a total of 5 cars, and that's on both properties. The home will feature energy and water efficient systems and high-end finishes, which the current house currently does not have, which will enhance the environmental conditions in the neighborhood and the resources of the city. And the construction of FEMA-compliant homes per code cannot have an adverse impact on the environmental or physical conditions. The city requires compliance with FEMA on all new construction, and my understanding was that the city encourages FEMA compliance. I'd now like to discuss some past precedent which is applicable to the board's consideration of this matter. I'm going to hand to Ms. Lynch a decision in the matter of the application of O'Connor and Sons Home Improvement versus Esteban Acevedo for the record.
What's the site for the record, please?
What's that?
What's the site?
The site?
Yeah.
It's in the canals in the residence.
No. It's a case, correct?
Correct.
So what's the citation?
The citation is 2017 WL 8944747, New York South.
Thank you.
There's also an appellate division citation. That citation is 197 AD 3rd 1112.
Thank you.
That was a case in the canals. The applicant proposed a subdivision into 2 non-conforming lots. The existing home there was a single family, not a 2-family. So we're talking about increasing the density and also putting them on non-conforming lots. The ZBA denied the subdivision. The court overturned the ZBA, ordering the ZBA to issue the variances, and that determination, after it went to the appellate division, was affirmed by the appellate division. There, too, you'll see that the judge, in analyzing whether to grant the subdivision and whether it's in conformity with the neighborhood, looks solely at the lot sizes and the existing lot sizes at the neighborhood. Ms. Lynch, I'm going to hand you a series of decisions so you don't have to keep getting up.
Thank you.
But I'll go over them very briefly with the board. Okay.
We have 3 here, right, Greg?
Yep. No, there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, add all of that. Okay, so the first matter is case number 3159, which is a ZBA case on 365 East Penn Street. This matter is also in the Residence C zone, just like this matter. There, as here, the applicant proposed the subdivision of an oversized lot that had a 2-family home and further proposed the construction of 2 single-family homes that were zoning compliant. The board unanimously granted in October of 2020. Case number 2435, 469 East Walnut Street, also a Residence C subdivision where the applicant was seeking to subdivide an 80 by 100 lot into 2 40 by 100 lots, as we are seeking to do here. There was a 2-family on the property, and the applicant proposed maintaining a 2-family and constructing an additional 1-family. That application was granted in September of 2014. Case number 3141, 142 West Fulton Street. That's also in the Residence C zone. It was a 75 by 100 lot that they were proposing into 2 37.5 by 100 non-conforming lots. Remember, the minimum lot size is 40 by 100. There was a 2-family home sitting on the lot, and they were proposing 2 single-family homes, just like here. The zoning board granted that application April of 2020. Case number 3086, 348 East Fulton. It's in the Residence F district, but it's still relevant. There was an existing 2-family on a 120 by 100 lot. The applicant made an application for a 3-lot subdivision with a two-family and two single-families. The board ended up granting a two-lot subdivision with a single two-family and a single one-family. That subdivision was granted in July of 2019 by the board. Case number 3039, 104 Roosevelt. That is close to the property, but it's in a different residential district. That's in Residence A. It was a two-lot subdivision of a 40 by 57 and a 90 by 57. That was granted by this board in November of 2018. I've also handed up to Ms. Lynch a decision in Daniels versus the City of Long Beach Zoning Board of Appeals. That's from 2006. I handed it up to the board to demonstrate, first off, it's an 80 by 100 with a two-family, I believe it was on it, that was being subdivided into two single families. The zoning board said no. The guy went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ordered that the variance be granted, and the evaluation that that judge used is the same as the other case I gave you. He looked at whether the lot sizes that were proposed were consistent with those which are in the neighborhood, and that judge found that it was. All right, so
If I missed the Daniels decision, I thought that in that case, the judge held that the demolition took place because of termite infestation, and that the home was demolished because of the termite infestation and not for the purpose of subdividing.
well, it stands for a number of things. That one, it most certainly stands for, as far as interpretation on the subdivision. But the judge also went further and evaluated using the 5 factors in the zoning code. I think it was done that way because the guy didn't ask for a legal interpretation on that. The applicant asked, he just did a regular zoning application. So I think in terms of coming, conceptually, absolutely correct. But in terms of coming to the conclusion, the judge still went through all the factors and compared the lot sizes and said, it should have been done as of right, number one, but number two, even if I look at this criteria, here's how I'm doing my analysis, the zoning board should have granted this subdivision. So unless there's any questions from the board, that was my presentation.
I have a question. In terms of the number of bedrooms that exist in the current dwelling, can you just repeat that? I know you mentioned it.
The total number of bedrooms that exist in the current dwelling is 6. In the proposed homes, we're proposing 4-bedroom homes, which is standard for a single family on a 40 by 100 lot.
So 8.
8 total, correct. I will note that in O'Connor and Sons, the decision that came out in 2021 from the appellate division, one of the findings of the ZBA was that additional bedrooms could mean additional people. And the judge basically was like, this is pure speculation about how many people can live in each house. A 4-bedroom house could have 1 person, it could have 10 people, but fundamentally it's a one-family home. You can't speculate as to the amount of people.
Well, having walked by the house myself just because of today's meeting, it appears that this is like one of those original Long Beach homes where, that second apartment's just a little, it's a very small 2-bedroom apartment.
Yes.
I imagine it would even be like a single occupancy with an office if you wanted to put it that way. So I'd say that the total square footage of both homes is significantly larger than the combined square footage of this 2-family home, correct?
In terms of the floor area?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt. You're talking about 2 homes instead of 1.
So it would be significantly more living space, and then, of course, the second curb cut. And that driveway, I would argue that that driveway also has room for 5 or 6 cars.
Mhm.
It's definitely a couple wide, and it goes very deep, goes the whole depth of the property.
Right.
Okay.
It was meant.
I'd say you get 6 in that driveway.
It was meant to be considerate of the neighbors. We're taking a curb cut. It's 1 parking space missing, but it's 5 parking spaces loaded on. And, going back to the O'Connor and Sons decision, I know I just spoke with Mr. Alvarado about the number of bedrooms issue, but also in the zoning board's findings, which the judge didn't consider, was the effect of curb cuts on off-street parking. And basically, the judge was like, this is all speculation as to the effect on off-street parking. I'm not considering it.
I think the two large, my personal opinion is the detriment to the neighborhood is real because 2 very large one-family homes in this space on this block, from having looked up and down the block, would stand out very differently from the way this house is set back with a whole different kind of character.
So, 2 points on that, Commissioner Alton. You mentioned that it's a very large house. I would respectfully disagree because it's a house that's built to code. It's not large. It's what's permitted by the code. And to your second point about how it's set back and so forth, the house is in poor condition. And if my client were to demolish the existing two-family, he can build something along the lines of what's in there, except connect that middle breezeway and have a substantially similar, except in my opinion, worse project because it doesn't have the breezeways that this project is affording.
Yeah, but that would not be in the right spirit of like coming here to Long Beach, food or anything like that.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah, but I don't like that comparison. I'm just saying.
You mentioned poor condition. Can you go into examples of why this house is considered to be in poor condition? It's poor. It's just it's a large word, like a small word, but it means a lot. So
well, first off, as we stated, it's a house that was constructed in the 1930s. Secondly, the first floor unit, as I had mentioned, is below grade and very frequently floods for that purpose. Thirdly, the level of amenities, appliances, and finishes, et cetera, that are offered in that building is not what would attract a high-caliber tenant in the sense that they're looking for something more. If Mr. Raffi Maieri were to go in there and renovate it, in all likelihood, it would go over 50% of the assessed value of the property just because so many things need to be upgraded in there. And once you go over 50% of the assessed damage, you're required to lift. And if he's required to lift, that house has like cinder blocks on its outside. It's a unique construction. But what that means is it creates complications in lifting it.
Yeah, but the cinder blocks actually makes it a very high-quality home. This is a very solid home. It's probably not subject to termite damage. The roof is in great condition. The chimney is very attractive. The house is in very good condition. So I would imagine that cosmetic improvement on the inside is all this really needs for a family to live there, and then maybe rent the basement out to help them subsidize their mortgage.
Well, I've spoken to my client about what the house needs in terms of what needs to be repaired. And Mr. Raffi Maieri, I don't know if you want him to come up and elaborate on what he would need to renovate in there as far as the systems in the house, but he can do that if you would like.
No, he doesn't have to, I mean, I know what it takes. I've
Okay.
been through this myself, and I consult people on things like this.
Mhm.
separately.
Any other questions from the board?
So your client's a contractor, and the reason why he wants to knock down the house and build two separate houses is because he can make more money that way. Is that true?
Well, the benefit to the applicant is a required part of the analysis here, but yes, he can make more money, and that's the benefit to the applicant. I would say that's a strong benefit that should, weigh in favor of granting.
So wouldn't it be true also that if he turned around and cosmetically changed the house, that he could still maintain a benefit, that he can still make money on the house?
It's not about necessarily maintaining a benefit. Like I said, the house is going to require some degree of work.
But I'm talking about benefit by other alternative means. That's what I'm talking about. So my question is can he obtain a benefit by just changing the cosmetics on the interior and then reselling the house? Because your client's a contractor, he's not living in the house. He would still maintain a benefit, it just wouldn't be as great a benefit as if he were to knock down the house and put in two separate houses. Would that be true?
Would that be true? If he's to renovate it, like I said, and I've had discussions with him, it would result in a substantial expense that would trigger requiring lifting that house. At that point, it's not financially feasible for him.
But that's speculative, correct?
That's what my client has related to me.
Okay, but what I'm talking about is he purchased the house for amounts of money. He can turn around, he can paint, he can put in carpeting, he can put in new appliances, all right, and make the house really, really nice. Repaint the house and do things like that and still make a profit. Isn't that true?
This isn't about necessarily whether he's able to make a profit or
But
not.
he's a contractor, he's not a homeowner, he's there to make a profit.
Well, in zoning, you can't discriminate against the user of the premises. It doesn't
I'm not
matter what they are
discriminating,
or
I'm
what they
just
do.
specifically talking about benefits sought by other alternative means. And I'm saying he can make a benefit. The benefit for him would be that he can do what he needs to do. He doesn't need a variance, and he can make the house attractive and make money on the house.
But
That's
then
my
I
point.
would ask you, Mr. Markowitz, what's the detriment? He's proposing 2 FEMA-compliant homes on 2 zoning-compliant lots. What's the detriment?
Well, the detriment was argued already by my colleagues. I'm just talking about one particular point when weighing the factors. So I want to weigh the factor concerning benefits sought by alternative means, and that's what I'm talking about. And
Right.
it seems to me that there is still a benefit by an alternative means. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's going to be granted because of that one part of the balancing test, but I'm saying that one part of the balancing test, I feel you don't make it. You don't make that threshold. That doesn't mean that we're not going to grant the variance. It just means that that one part, I don't see how you can turn around and say that we can't get a benefit from an alternative means. You can get a benefit. Not as great a benefit, but you can get somewhat of a benefit. That's my only
No,
point.
no, and it's as I stated earlier. If he is to undertake the course of renovations that he would need to do, it would trigger likely lifting the house because it's going to go over 50% of the assessed value, the amount of work that he's going to
Even
have to put in.
cosmetic?
It's not just cosmetic. There's electrical systems that need to be replaced. There's plumbing systems that need to be replaced. He has a great scope of
So
work.
are you saying that with electrical systems and plumbing systems, you need to raise the house?
Like I said, you can speak to my client about the type of work that the house would require. I'm not in this field, I do the zoning, but as far as the work that needs to be done in the inside to preserve what he has now, he could elaborate on it. And
Did your client tell you that to replace the electric and the plumbing, you need to raise the house?
No, he said if you go over 50% of the assessed value of the house, you will be required to lift it.
It won't be 50% of the house.
Is there anything, does your client have anything demonstrating that the cost of renovations would be more than 50% of the value of the house?
Thank you, because that was.
Do you have anything, David? Dave, come up, Charles.
Also, before we get to that, can I just ask you one question, Mr.
Sure.
Kaminsky? With respect, sorry, can everybody hear me all right? Thank you, Robin. I understand the decision in O'Connor and Sons, but with that, adding a second house and a second curb cut to a pretty busy area of town is still going to take away off-street parking. Not speculatively, it will, because you cannot block the space for that's a curb cut or a driveway. How is that not a detriment to the neighbors and nearby properties?
Okay, right now, you have a 2-family home that has a curb cut that can fit 3 cars. We're going to have 2 single-family homes with 2 curb cuts that could fit 10 cars. I would venture to say that the individuals renting that 2-family park on the street. With the new configuration that we were proposing, despite losing 1 parking spot on that street, you will have created 10 parking spots.
But you're also creating more people now that are living on that block, so there's going to be more cars present there because of the additional home.
So one of the things in the O'Connor decision was that it's speculative to say how many people will live in a house. Could be 1, 2 people, could be 10 people.
You're certainly proposing more occupancy, though, in the 2 separate one-family homes. This is a house that would not have more than 3 or 4 cars in its current condition.
I don't know that. It's pure speculation about how many cars somebody would have,
That's about what they would have.
and it's pure speculation about
Park in front or in the driveway.
who would live in a rental or, who would purchase this house and how many people would be living in it. What's relevant is it's zoned for 1 family can live in it. If it's zoned for 2 families can live in it. Going beyond how many people could occupy it or how many cars they could have is something that's speculative. That's what the judge in the O'Connor decision
And
said.
your point about the safety of the basement apartment is not really valid because it does have a full-size exit door there. And in addition to that, it's only slightly below grade, which anybody has a French drain can override. Okay? Okay.
David, Charles, you want to come up? And tell them about the house and the work that needs to be done in the drainage.
Good evening. Charles Rafi Mayeri, 34 Shore Park Road, Great Neck, New York. I'm the owner of the property I purchased it in 2019. But the problem with this property is that the downstairs unit is very tight. We cannot get good tenant. Last tenant was there for 12 months, didn't pay, because twice they got flooded from the windows, the water came in. We have a French drain inside the house from the previous owner. And the house needs major work. Nobody has touched the house since 1960s. Everything is original in there. The bathroom, the kitchen, the only thing that they have is the boilers are new because of the Sandy. When they got flooded, they put brand new boilers and hot water heaters. But the place is, it has cracks in the foundation. The roof needs to be changed. The windows are leaky. The floor beams are not level. It needs major work. It's over 50%. Once you start ripping stuff out, you end up doing more and more and more. So it doesn't pay to renovate it.
The roof looked very good to me, to be honest with you. I looked at it closely today, and the cracks in the foundation I don't see because it's all concrete block. And I walked around the house, and I didn't see any cracks. It seemed to affect
There is
a
cracks.
differential motion where it goes out of plumb. I mean, everybody has like hairline fractures. That happens to every
Hairline is fine. A hairline is fine.
Yeah, this
but
does
no,
not seem to have open,
it
wide
does.
foundation issues.
Please come inside the house. I can show you. It's vacant, and you see the leaks from the roof in the ceiling. The air conditioning needs to be changed. So the tenant that I had over there came with the house. There were 5 people living in the house. They had 4 cars, and downstairs had another car. So we had 5 cars. They always had to juggle for the parking. So
I'd imagine a family upstairs with a rental downstairs would probably be 3 or 4 cars in a standard sort of situation. Because this is the type of home where a family lives there and they rent out the basement for supplemental help with their mortgage.
but we don't know who's going to buy the house in this market right now.
Well, that's the type of people who typically own homes like this.
Not really.
Okay. That's
Right now, I built a house on Lindell Boulevard. I sold the house to a couple. It's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. There's only 2 people, 2 occupants in the house. They moved from Rockville Center. They wanted to be closer to the beach, so they moved there. A 4-bedroom doesn't mean there's going to be 4 or 6 or 8 people in there.
And this basement is most likely single occupancy. It's the same thing.
Which one? The basement? No, I had 3 people living in there.
So you're saying this basement is going to have more people than your full house with 4 bedrooms?
The basement level
Do
had
you understand what I'm
single
saying?
woman with
This
2
is all very
girls.
subjective.
With 2 teenage girls, and they were living there, and they only had 1 car, luckily. But upstairs, it was a family. She had 3 older children. They all were working, and they all had cars, and she had a car too. So
And two single-family homes will probably more than double that.
not really.
Okay.
It's just a guess. I don't think so because
So, well, all this is a guess in that case, so we'll just forget that.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless there's any other questions or comments from the board,
I have one. Mr. Kalinitsky, who represented the zoning board in the O'Connor and Sons case?
at the zoning board stage,
No, in the Supreme Court and then at the appellate stage.
in the Supreme Court, that was me. In the appellate division, that was a successor of mine. So I would hope that after our presentation and careful consideration of the materials that I gave Ms. Lynch, the zoning board's past precedent, particularly with the Residence C neighborhood with lots in this type of configuration and the 2 court decisions I handed up to you dealing with that same issue, I would hope that after contemplation that the zoning board could grant. I understand there might be some people here who want to speak, so I'll reserve the right for rebuttal to come up after they're done.
Would the board be interested, actually, I'm sorry, I'll wait till the end. Thank you, Greg.
Till the end? Okay.
Because what I was going to say is if they're saying that the roof is bad, if they're saying that there are cracks in the foundation, if they're saying that it's going to
I'd like
cause,
an independent.
can they provide an independent, analysis, like an engineer report
Should I
that
ask for it
demonstrates
now?
that? You can ask that now.
Okay, sure. Okay, we'd like to bring it out to the room now. Would anybody like to come up and speak in favor of this application?
In favor? Please give your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Timothy Cran, and 533 Timothy Cran, K-R-A-N. K-R-A-N. 533 East Olive.
533 East Olive?
Right next door.
Hmm?
Right next door to the
Next door.
property. All right. So I have no objection to the property. Actually think it would be nice to see, more single-family homes and less rentals in the neighborhood. So I said I have no objection. Okay. I'd like to see more, single-family homes in the neighborhood, less rentals. I think it's a benefit to the neighborhood, especially being a neighbor there, so.
Anything else?
That's it.
Ma'am?
Anybody else in favor?
There's a young lady with.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were together. My apologies.
I live at 533 East Olive Street, and I'm here in support of Mr. Charles.
You have to give your name.
Rose Marlowe.
Spell your last name?
It's Marlowe.
Okay, thank you.
So regarding what he said, I live next door, and I witnessed the first floor was constantly getting flooded when it rains. It goes down, I believe, like almost 2 feet. And like my partner said, I'd rather see a family living next door. It would create more revenue in terms of taxes. I live in a 2-family house. I'm having issue with tenants, just like he did, not paying rent. And I've been dealing for 6 months, so I'd rather see more homeowners than rentals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think there was someone else.
Hi, Maria Sharkey. I live at 87 Arizona Avenue in Long Beach. I've been a Long Beach resident for the past 9 years. My husband has been a Long Beach resident for the past 30 years. In 2016, we contracted with Charles Raffaelli to build a FEMA-compliant home. We moved in 2017. I just came to tell you that he is an impeccable builder. He's always been available for us whenever we needed him after we moved in. He was extremely respectful of our neighbors when he was building our home, which was very, very important to us. He went above and beyond every day when the job was finished to clean the area up. My neighbors even complimented us on how amazing he was. We currently have 3 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms. There's 2 people in the home. We have a 3-car garage. We park both of our cars inside our driveway. And we have several neighbors who have families of 5 with 5 cars. I would really appreciate it if you would consider this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor? Okay, anyone want to come up and speak against? Nobody left to come up and speak about this case? No. Okay.
Ms. Kalinsky?
Mr. Lupo.
I'm not going to speak for the board, but in speaking with Mr. Alton, I believe the board may keep this open, hold this open for voting. Would your client be willing to submit like an engineering report demonstrating the cost of the repairs and renovations, that it would be more than 50% of the building?
I would like to suggest that the engineering report be actually hired independently and he pays the fee. In other words, not working, do you understand? So it's not subjective, okay?
Okay. Is that something that, Charles, are you okay with that? The city wants, the zoning board wants to hire an engineer and have you pay for the engineer.
Somebody separate. I mean, obviously, if you send somebody in, they're working for you. I think it would be good if somebody worked for this on our behalf.
To be honest, though, Commissioner Alton, it's, we'll do whatever the board wants, but this application, it would be a different application if we were asserting that the house needs to be demolished and therefore we're not trying to affect a subdivision by its demolition. The application is, can we please demolish it and do this?
I'm hearing talks about the foundation being cracked and the roof being damaged and beams like sagging, and I would like to have some more verification of that to talk about this 50% concern.
Like I said, I understand that it was
Obviously, we can't
mentioned.
just take that on your word right here, right?
No, listen, I understand that that was mentioned, and we will do whatever the board requires us to do. But this application is different from one where I'm saying he needs to demolish it, therefore you need to grant the subdivision, and he needs to demolish it because the house is in disrepair. I'm asking the board for relief from its subdivision provision to allow him to demolish it, notwithstanding the condition of the home, and to subdivide into 2 lots. And what I tried to emphasize was lot sizes are consistent with 83% of the neighborhood. It should be granted. It's not going to be a detriment, zoning compliant homes, et cetera. We'll do whatever the board asks of us.
Well, if you're building your case on the 50% must-raise mark, that's, if you want to leave that off the record, then that's another story. That's up to you.
No, I think we should stay on the record, but like I said, the application wasn't to claim that the house needs to be demolished, and therefore we should have a subdivision as of right, because that would be a completely different process, right? I think if an applicant establishes that he's asking for the demolition for the purposes of a subdivision, then we're here. But if it's anything else, technically, the building department should be granting these subdivisions and the tax assessment department granting these subdivisions as of right.
But then respectfully, Mr. Kalnitsky, why bring, as part of your presentation, put so much emphasis on the fact that the repairs are going to be more than 50%? Because at that point, I mean, it kind of goes to what Mr. Markowitz was saying, that there is an alternative benefit, but obviously, you know, it's more of a benefit financially if the house is demolished and subdivided. But as part of that justification, you know, your presentation really did emphasize that it's going to cost more than 50% of the value of the home to raise it, to renovate it, which would require a raise.
So I did not include details of the condition of the house in my presentation on purpose. I answered because Mr. Markowitz asked a question, and I think questions should be answered. I wasn't trying to make any point about the condition of the house for the same reason that I was talking to Commissioner Alton about, is it's not relevant.
But you did state the house was in poor condition, and that's where the conversation led to, when I asked you to define
I didn't
what the
say
word
that
poor.
on my presentation in chief, but when Mr. Markowitz asked a question, I had to give an answer. And the answer was, hey, can't he just, you know, redo the interior and rent or sell it that way?
Because he gave an alternate.
Well, what my client
As
is
a
looking
benefit.
to do is to build 2 houses on 2 lots. To say that you can keep one house on a double lot isn't an alternative, it's just keep what you have. We're asking for something else.
But technically, if the benefit is financial, and there is some benefit to renovating the existing house, it is an alternative benefit. There's just more of a benefit by getting the variance and building 2 homes. So it is an alternative benefit. It's not keep what you have, because Mr. Raffaele, being a very talented builder from, you know, what other members of the audience said, has the know-how, the knowledge, the expertise to just renovate a home as well, which therefore he would still make a profit. So it's really whether or not there's an alternative means to obtain the benefit.
But you didn't answer the question. The question is, are you willing to have an independent engineer?
I'm willing to
Issue a
do
report.
whatever the board requires us to do.
Okay.
That's your answer? I just wanted to make a record that from where I'm coming from and the nature of this application, that it's not relevant to the board's determination. But with that being said, we'll do whatever we are asked to do.
We haven't made a determination yet.
No, I understand.
Okay.
Whatever that determination is, the current condition of the house is irrelevant to that determination. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
But I think we have to talk about this. Sure. Nobody else has anything else to say, then maybe we should just leave this open?
I do have
All right.
one last question. This is from Mr. Raffaele. Were you aware of the zoning ordinance prohibiting subdivisions where the house lied on the plot line when you purchased the home?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
here since '86. I've been building here since '86. I know all the
Understood.
All right, thank you. And if the board should require us to get, pay for whatever report from an engineer, if Mr. Lupo could contact me and we could arrange for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Rocco.
Oh, Rocco's coming back.
Yeah, I know.
Back on the dais.
Grilled. Get it out of the way for now. It was easy peasy. So,
Over here.
some are over here, some over there. So how's this gonna go? Pitbull versus Kangas?
No, I don't think it's a problem.
All the subs.
I'm back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this 3424?
Case number 3424, application of Constance Foreman of 40 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-106.17 fence height limitations to maintain trees and hedges at 8 feet high in a side yard at 40 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 87, Lot 21, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself. I live across the street at 25 West
Okay.
Beach. Thank you.
Commissioner Markowitz has recused. All right, where is, you want to call the?
Yeah, the applicant's present.
I have a feeling I'm gonna be very busy.
Hi, folks. Just give us your name and address
Step up.
Yeah.
for the record, so you might want to just step up to the mic and, one of you at a time.
Constance Foreman, 40 West Beach Street, Long Beach.
Okay. And is that your husband or?
No, it's my son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, he'll probably be answering too. 'cause-
Well, that's fine. So, I see why you're here. Tell us a little bit about it. Why the necessity for the heights? The house is elevated, I believe, a little bit?
Well,
Well, the property is, right?
The house was built in.
Give your name and
Give
address
us
for
your
the
name.
record.
Just give us your name.
Yeah.
I'm Jordan Foreman, 40 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, 11561.
Okay.
You can
So,
move the mic up.
I see that you guys are here for, the fence heights, right?
Mhm.
So you have a fence that shall not exceed 4 feet, and you are also looking to get variance from the code about 8 feet. So you're proposing to maintain trees and hedges at a height of 8 feet in the side yard, is that correct?
8 feet in the side
Okay,
yard.
so tell us about that.
Okay, so I believe my parents bought the house back in like 85. When they bought the house, it had like 20-foot hedges all around the property.
Okay.
I believe about 15 years ago, some of the hedges had to go, and so they planted Leland cypress trees.
Okay.
And they've been there for the last like 15 years or so. I believe last year, someone moved into the property next door, and they weren't getting enough light, they said, and so they had filed a complaint with the buildings department.
Okay.
And so, once we were contacted by them, we were trying to work it out. The court proceedings started while this was going on. I believe the neighbor is not a full-time resident here. He lives in the city, so it's hard
Now,
to.
is it still, just to clarify, is this a case that's still in court?
It is still in court.
Okay, so pending judgment by the board is where the case is gonna go?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's not really a fence, but there are hedges, to be clear. And so the hedges are at what height right now?
Okay, so we had already cut them
Okay.
while we were still in trial. They're at 8 feet now.
Okay.
The I believe the height is
Now,
actually
since
6
the
feet.
house, I believe that the house is like, the property's a little bit higher than the sidewalk level, am I correct?
When you say the house is a little higher than,
Was that, that's the other case?
That's another case, yeah.
Okay, all right. So it's flat, it's flat? in
it's
other
flat, it's not a raised house.
words. Okay. So the question becomes then, you trimmed them to 8 feet. What's the issue with trimming them further? Or have you consulted with your neighbor at this point?
So we consulted with the neighbor. They agreed that the 8-foot height was fine. I believe it's actually 6 feet and not 4 feet for the side lot.
Yes, correct.
So, I mean, we had spoke to them, we agreed on that. When we were still working with the buildings department, they said we could make an agreement between us, and then they said it was a complaint-driven department, and so that we can make an agreement between us and it would be fine. I guess it ran too long, and so it went into the court. I believe if we tried to cut 2 more feet off the trees, they would probably die. As you know, the Leland cypress it's not really a hedge tree, it's a tree.
It's a cypress, I know.
Cypress tree.
Yeah.
And so.
So basically, at this point, just to kind of cut to the chase on it, is that basically you have these cypress trees, and I know cypress trees can grow very thin, narrow, but very tall. So basically, you have cut them down to an 8-foot point, where they'd probably grown to what, 15 feet or so before that?
They were a little higher than that, I think, even.
Okay. They get tall. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
I
get
know,
tall.
you know,
They
cypress
shoot up
trees
pretty
are very
quick.
So you
tall.
cut a good amount off of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can cut off light, I understand it.
Mhm.
So at this point now, they're at 8 feet.
Yes.
And your contention is that if they were cut down lower than 8 feet, the trees would completely die, or they certainly.
I didn't think they would make it with the 8-foot cut, but they apparently did, so.
Okay.
Great.
All right. So at this point, I just want to understand something. You are very firm, let's say, that this is the lowest possible height, 8 feet, that those trees could go.
I mean, you never know,
Right.
but also on top of it,
still
it's the cost of
provide-
it.
Still provide, you know, adequate light to those trees. Now, just to be clear, those trees, where are they on the subject property relative to your neighbors? Are they next to your house? Are they behind your house?
They're on the side, between the 2 houses.
Okay.
On the side of the
So
lot.
they are on the side, so basically it would be like a side yard fence, in other words, this is
Yes.
what we're talking about.
Yes, and they actually just built a new fence, which is at the 6-foot height.
Who did? You did or they?
They did, the neighbor.
Okay, so your cypress trees are about 2 feet still above their fence?
Yeah, and we also cut them at like an angle, so
Right.
in the back they're low, they're
Right.
like really close to that 6-foot point,
Right.
but in the front, some of the branches go up, because there's a pool right there, and it provides them a little more privacy.
On their side?
On our side,
On your side?
yes.
Okay. Do any members of the board have any questions?
So you said you've now come to an agreement with your neighbor that this suffices?
We
for
have
what
come
they
to
were
an
trying do?
agreement.
And I assume you will commit to maintaining the height as
Yes.
they grow?
Yes.
Any other members? Okay, well, why don't we have someone who wants to speak maybe in favor come up? Anybody? And we have somebody who wants to speak against coming up.
I had one question, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Forgive me, I'm an attorney, and I ask stupid questions because I don't know a lot, so I have people that know more than me explain to me. You said that the trees toward the rear of the side yard were actually much closer to the 6-foot mark, right? Because they were cut down at an angle.
Each tree, the way it was cut in like a taper, so
Uh-huh.
that like, we basically got rid of all the branches in the back, so
Okay.
nothing would be towards the fence or over the fence.
Okay.
And then in the front, which is basically towards our house, there's a pool there, so the branches go kind of more over the pool.
So I guess what my question is that it seems a little bit contradictory that some of the trees could be cut down to 6 foot and they'll live, but the other ones might die if they're below 8. That's what I don't understand.
I'm sorry, I think you're misunderstanding my.
Okay, please,
let
that's
me
why I
explain.
said I don't know a lot, so explain.
Each
please.
individual tree was cut to the same height.
Okay.
The whole line through.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is in the back of each tree,
Okay.
it's close to that 6-foot mark. So it was cut in like a taper.
Okay.
So like the fence is here at 6 feet, like right here. The trees are like here around a little more than that, but some of the branches go up.
Okay.
to 8 feet.
Do you have anything in writing, just demonstrating that your neighbor agreed to the 8-foot?
I have texts and emails.
That would be great.
You want me to show them now?
Please.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the reason why I ask is because I would hate, whether the board votes or not tonight, if they did vote and if this hypothetically did get granted, and then your neighbors go to the building department tomorrow and say, what the heck, I want to make a complaint. I'm just trying to verify.
Gotcha. And our other neighbor offered to come because he's a very good guy, he's a fireman. I told him he doesn't need to, but here we go. I have the
Please. Great.
forward it to you. Text or email.
I'm anticipating an angry call from Greg tomorrow.
I can copy and paste
Listen,
it.
I just have to make sure my record, I'll be honest with you.
Okay, that would probably be
I don't think it's terrible.
R.
I'm sorry, Frank. Do you understand one day, because the court won't, because if the variance is granted, the court will toss the case. But you gotta understand, it's only once a month that I get to sit next to Rhonda Brooks for this duration of time.
Me too.
I'm trying to prolong it, okay? So, if you understand in the way of my happiness, Frank, no problem. Yeah, of course. I think this is a no-brainer, this one.
Should I forward the text? Okay.
That's when they want me demolished. Come on, the house is nice.
Yes.
That's bullshit. Okay. Let the record reflect, the email does seemingly state an agreement between the neighbors that the side yard trees at 8 feet are acceptable to them as well.
This is it looks like it's kind of an original Long Beach home.
Yes, it is, yeah. So they're built in like around circa 1910. Thank you.
What?
These cypress trees, they stay dense all the way to the bottom?
They start to,
Develop chunks and all of that?
Oh, shit.
yeah, they have trunks. It's a main trunk, And so that's why I personally didn't think they were going to survive.
Oh, yes,
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to survive, but they,
Tried to go trunk in the
yeah.
So they do require a lot of maintenance to keep them in this form.
Yeah.
Which he's committed to doing,
Yeah.
I think, on the height of the.
Yeah.
All right,
I also have text messages to attest to. We're good. Thank you.
at this point, there was no one else that wanted to speak against. Do any members of the board have any questions?
No.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant.
I'll second.
I suggest granting with the condition that the trees remain at no higher than
That's good.
approximately 8 feet.
So you understand, sir, if the board is going to grant this with the motion that was just put forth, it would be with a condition that the trees are going to be maintained always at that height
Yes.
that we will agree upon, and it would be a violation if you exceeded that height.
Correct. Yes, I understand.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Case number 3424, application of Constance Foreman of 40 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-106.17 fence height limitations to maintain trees, hedges at 8 feet high in the side yard at 40 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 87, Lot 21 on the Nassau County Land Tax Map. Commissioner Alvarado has introduced a motion to grant the application with conditions. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
Grant.
Commissioner Marco? He's recused, I'm right. Commissioner Lees?
Grant.
With conditions.
With conditions.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner De Pasquale?
Grant with conditions.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant with conditions.
This application has been granted with the conditions stated on the record.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Chairman, no,
Okay.
good luck.
Commissioner Markowitz has joined us back on the dais. Case number 3415, application of Bricks and Barley of 152 West Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.15C rear yard, in order to maintain a rear yard canopy and shed at 152 West Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 71, Lot 11, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening, Rob.
Kenneth Apple, 30 West Park Avenue, Suite 202, Long Beach. I think, Chairman, you were the only one who was not here in May. We had presented this case, withdrew it for the concerns of the board and the neighbors. In some substance, in around the time of COVID, the owners of Bricks and Barley, they don't have storage in that facility at all. Put up a awning, basically to store stuff in the back alley. It doesn't obstruct anything. What ultimately ended up happening was the awning goes up against the garage, which is a little bit onto the neighbor's property on Walnut, which caused this to be an issue. There was also a question at the last hearing as to whether this was a maintain or it was going to be a new structure for structural reasons and integrity reasons. It is a complete new structure. It's coming down. There's plans submitted. The architect submitted, plans. It's going to be rebuilt by a contractor, which we haven't hired yet, obviously. That's pending the board's approval. I can go through the legal criteria of the variance, obviously. It benefits the applicant, as in they need storage. It's a big restaurant. We all know the restaurant in town. There's no undesirable change to the neighborhood. The only people that it really affects are the neighbors who spoke last time we were here tonight. I'll get into that in a minute. It can't be achieved by any of the means. They have no storage there. They have no basement. They're obviously not going to move their location. They're established. They've been there for years. We don't believe the variance is substantial. It's the rear alley. It's going to be an overhang. It's not obstructing anybody. It's not bothering anybody anymore. And it's not going to have an adverse effect on the environmental or physical condition of the neighborhood. Again, once I get through what we've offered with regard to the rear neighbors, I think we can prove that. And obviously, it's not self-created. I know Commissioner Marcos brought that up last time. They obviously rented the place. They have a thriving business. They have no basement to store chairs, anything that they bring in and out. We did meet with the neighbors. We heard the concerns of them. They were somewhat legitimate. I don't disagree with them. The first thing is, obviously, the new plans brings it within our property lines. That was non-negotiable. We never intended to be on their property. If you look at the pictures, there's an indent, and the overhang just goes up against the garage, not realizing that a few inches of that is the property of the neighbor on Walnut Street. So that's non-negotiable. We're coming back to the property line. The second thing was that they were worried about the integrity of the structure. Apparently, it wasn't built properly in their eyes, and there were pieces of plexiglass flying onto their property when it got windy. It's going to be structurally sound. It's going to be approved by, obviously, it's going to be a licensed contractor. The building department's going to inspect it. And we did meet with the neighbors. We sat with them and talked to them. There was one other concern they had, and that was that you can kind of see it from their property over their fence. We've agreed as a condition to this variance to make the structure somewhat level with our roof line, no more than 9 feet high, which completely satisfies them because they're not going to be able to see it now. It's going to be completely invisible. We actually walked onto their property earlier today with them, and you can see how it pops over a little bit. We've agreed to bring it down. We don't need it as high as it is. 8, 9 feet high would suffice anyway. We just need the storage to store so the rain doesn't hit our, whatever we're putting back there. And obviously, it came up last time, there's no perishables going back there. There's no, nothing that's going to create an issue with any kind of rodents or anything. It's really just to store things from the restaurant so that, to make up for not having a basement. Like I said, we did meet with the neighbors. They're going to address you to display that we did act in good faith, and I think they're satisfied. And the way I can see it, and again, we walked the property, we walked the backyard, and the only people that it would affect are the people that are going to speak tonight that spoke last time as well. So I'll let them speak.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
So, I know it's to maintain the shed and the canopy, right? So how long have they existed, just so I know?
We did this last time, I'm sorry, you weren't here. On or around COVID, it was built. There's a backstory to it, which I actually didn't know. The last time I was here, that they hired an expediter to do it. We have all kinds of emails from them saying it's all approved, don't worry about it. And the guy kind of threw this up and left town with them with money in his pocket. That's a whole other case. It's not really relevant to you, obviously. We're looking.
How much space is there, just, I'm curious, from the shed itself, right, from the opening doors of the shed to that rear property line that would affect Walnut?
From the shed?
Yeah. Is there any is there any setback? The shed doesn't go very close to the property line.
The shed's fairly close to the fence, but again, it's a blockade fence. You can't see anything from Walnut. It's a solid fence.
And then you were talking about the canopy. How much does the canopy protrude over that height now?
Right now, it's over the neighbor's fence, which is probably around 9 feet high, I would say.
Okay.
It's about
And then
9 feet.
how far down could you bring it?
We're going to bring it down to the roof line. There's an existing overhang there now. We're going to make it consistent with that, which is about 8 feet.
Does the roof line of the shed, is that higher than the
No,
neighbor?
the roof line's lower. The only thing that protruded was the actual overhang.
Okay. Any members of the board?
Yeah. Just so I'm clear, Mr. Apple, you are removing what's there and building a new one.
We're not going to remove the shed. We're going to remove the overhang, yes, build a complete new one. And that was a question you asked last time, and I thought that was the case because there's plans submitted, but the denial letter said maintain. It's not being maintained. It's going to be brand new.
So you made a mistake?
I didn't make a mistake. The denial letter was wrong, but that's okay. I made a mistake not seeing it earlier and realizing it. How about that?
Anybody else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, does anybody want to speak in favor of it?
Pete Meyer, Walnut Street. Mr. Chair, I did address the board, I think it was in May, and my concerns was encroachment and safety, fire. All the paperwork documents, I did drop some off for Mrs. Lynch as well on my concerns. Today I had a meeting with Mr. Apple and the owner, and I believe my concerns are going to be addressed. At this point, I have no issues. As far as the shed is concerned, it is against the fence line. I have no issues with the shed. I didn't have any issues with the shed. I don't see it. I don't know it's there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of the consistency of the fence, blocking the view from your backyard, That's why I
I
asked.
put the fences so they don't have to see the commercial establishment. So,
Good. Okay.
That's been addressed.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
you're satisfied, to be clear for the record, as to what was proposed by Mr. Apple in terms of bringing the height down of the overhang? canopy?
Yes, and I'm sure the building department will address anything else as far as fire and safety.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone else? No. All right. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I move to grant the application.
Second that the canopy court be brought down to be removed and to the height of no higher than the shed itself.
Right, which is pursuant to the plans.
The plan. Yeah, as per the plan.
As per the plans, yes, I move, yes.
Yeah, come.
I don't think it's the height of the shed. I'll say,
No, but it was like the canopy itself, the removal of the overhang.
Yes, it's going to be consistent with the roof line of the
That's
building.
what I wanted
Yep,
to make.
yes, yep.
It's consistent with the plans, correct, Mr. Apple?
Okay, that's right.
So I move to grant consistent with the plans.
I'll second
Oh, Franklin already did, right?
Oh, too bad.
He beat you to it. He beat you to it. Franklin beat you to it. Case number 3415, application of Bricks and Barley of 152 West Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.15C rear yard. In order to maintain a rear yard canopy and shed at 152 West Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 71, Lot 11, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Markowitz has introduced a motion to grant the application per the plans submitted. Commissioner Alvarado has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton? Commissioner Markowitz?
Grant per plans.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant with plans.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant with plans, conditions. Grant
plans.
with new plans, conditions.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Grant per the plan.
Commissioner De Pasquale?
Grant with plans.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant as per the submitted plans.
This application has been granted per the submitted plans. Okay. Case number 3106, application of Paul Martin, West Beach Grill Corp. and PRM Realty 2 Corp. of 945 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-106.14 new bar, 9-112.16 off-street parking, for renewal of variance number 3106 for a new bar at 945 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 231, Lot 51, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Dennis Kelly, 120 West Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, 11561. Members of the board, this is the third time we've been up here on this application, believe it or not. This pertains to the Bungalow West on the northwest corner of Tennessee Avenue, West Beach Street. In July of 2019, this board, four of the members of which were there in July of 2019, granted an application to extend the bar or the counter, the bar, at the bungalow from 15 feet to 29 feet 4 inches to allow for 8 seats along the rail and 4 seats along the return. I don't know if everybody's seen the plans. Like I said, 4 of the members in the past have probably seen the plans. If I can just hand this up to Ms. Lynch so she can hand it to each of you.
I have just a quick question.
Sure.
Mr. Kelly, just to kind of move this along. My question to you is that the bar and the application, 3106 originally, was approved, am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So basically, just enlighten me as to what happened. When was this approved?
July of 19, and the basis upon which Mr. Martin, Paul Martin, who's here with me this evening, the sole shareholder and owner of the business, as well as the landlord, as well as the owner of Bungalow East, was seeking a liquor license, which he's been granted. And with the liquor license, he sought to increase the length of the bar to add 1 more seat. I call it a counter because at the moment it's really not a bar. But if you see in those photographs, what's in the photographs exists now. And then the return would be 4 seats. There's significant space in the front of the store between where the counter is now.
Just repeat what you said to me about the liquor license. What happened with the liquor license?
It was issued.
Okay. No, what I'm saying is, was the liquor license issued after the variance was granted or before the variance was granted?
At or about the same time. You want to come up and put your name on the record?
Yeah, come up for a second, please.
Paul Martin, 570 Monroe Boulevard, Long Beach, New York.
Okay. So the question just was simple enough. When you came and you got the variance originally, right? Originally you got the variance, and then when did you get the liquor license in relation to that?
Probably a couple months after.
Okay. And then at the time after that, because the service bar was approved, did you build it or you didn't do anything with it? What happened after that?
Originally, COVID just slowed everything down.
Okay. So nothing happened in that space at all?
Happened.
So the only change really was that basically time allowed the variance to lapse because of COVID.
Right. And then we came back, so the record's clear, we came back in January of 23, and it was extended unanimously again. And by the way, for the members of the board who weren't here in July of 19, it was granted with pretty tight restrictions as conditions, including, shutting down the kitchen at 12, shutting down the restaurant at 1 a.m., coming back every 2 years for renewal, failure to comply result in revocation. So we came back in January 23. We did this again. You unanimously granted it again.
With the same conditions.
Everything was the same.
Okay.
And that's what we're asking for again.
Okay.
This time, Mr. Martin, and I'm happy for him and for other people who've had this experience. Business got so good that he opened other businesses or started to open other businesses. Got waylaid by that, turned around to me after seeking variances in Island Park for the old ale house. Hey, I think I might have blown the variance as far as the time to file my permits and start to build.
And then the other thing he's got going on in the corner of Roosevelt and Park, right, in addition with the Bungalow East. Right, he's got that building.
Oh,
on the corner
right.
there too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's his other building.
Right.
So, basically, I just want to just kind of cut to the chase on this as well. You've come to us twice, been approved twice. In 23, when you came and you were approved, you already had a liquor license, so, you were serving liquor in the establishment. Nothing, to be clear, nothing has changed since 23. The conditions that we can reference from the previous variances are all the same.
That would be correct.
Have there been any changes at all, Mr. Martin?
Zero.
Okay, hours, et cetera?
That's right. We reviewed them together. He's aware of them. And
So, in keeping consistent with the board has already approved twice, nothing has changed in the conditions.
nothing has changed in the conditions.
All right.
And nothing has changed inside the restaurant. I was in there. It's the same.
I've been into both of them.
Right.
I know what the layout is myself. Any members of the board?
So I have a quick question, okay? We received an email from the West End Neighbors Civic Association, and in that email, they attached a proposed liquor license stipulation that was signed by Mr. Martin in 2020, and in that stipulation said, West Beach Grill Corp. will not apply for any alteration in its method of operation without first appearing before West End Neighbors Civic Association. So it's my understanding you did not appear before the West End Civic Association. So, but my question is, are you asking for an alteration in your method of operation?
No, I think they're referring to the New York State Liquor Authority. I had to put a bunch of stipulations in that to get my license. So I think they're referring to, so the New York State Liquor Authority went off of the stipulations that we made here.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Anyone else? No? All right. Anyone in the audience? Anyone want to speak in favor? Against? Anybody want to make a motion? All right. I'll second.
Case number 3106, application of Paul Martin, West Beach Grill Corp. and PRM Realty 2 Corp. of 945 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-106.14 new bar, 9-112.16 off-street parking, for renewal of variance number 3106 for a new bar at 945 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 231, Lot 51 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Alton has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Morelli has seconded the motion.
I just want to, if we can clarify a little bit, Ms. Lynch. So I think I'd like to, maybe in the motion, if we can just say that reference without any changes to the previous variances granted in 2023.
You may want to say, Mr. Chairman, granted in 2019 and 2023, because the conditions are in 2019.
Exactly the same. Yeah, we'll have it on the record. They were both, that they're both
Yeah,
exactly
it's just-
the same.
yeah.
So it'll be a motion to grant with the conditions set forth in the record from the 2019 application.
Agreed.
Okay.
2023 was the same.
Just say, right.
Condition, hold on, with conditions set forth in the record of 2019. I have the resolution there
So
too.
you-
Okay.
So who seconded that one?
I seconded it. Gary made the motion.
Okay.
With the conditions set forth in the record from 2019? Okay. And your second?
I'm going to second it referencing all conditions from the 2019 variance.
Okay, all right, so Commissioner Alton has introduced a motion to grant with the conditions set forth in the record of 2019, and Chair Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton? Commissioner Markowitz?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner De Pasquale?
Grant with conditions.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant with conditions.
Thank you very much.
I didn't
Well,
I'm
finish.
sorry, go ahead.
This
Bob.
application has been granted with the conditions set forth in the record of 2019.
Thank you very much.
Give me 1 second to put down something.
Case number 3426,
Hold on 1 second. Dennis.
It's a break in the action with the score.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Case number 3426, application of Robert Iannarone of 147 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-106.17 fence height limitations for a 5-foot-high fence in the front yard and a 7-foot-high fence in the side yard at 147 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 110, Lot 55, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening, the applicant's present. Come on up. You're Mr. Anaroni, correct? Yes. All right. Yeah, come up to the podium, just give us your name and address for the record, and
Robert Iannarone, 147 East Walnut Street, Long Beach,
Okay.
New York.
thank you. So you're here because of the fence, the front yard fence, and also in the side yard. So now, just a question, because I'm looking at the application, and I'm sort of familiar with what you're looking for in a situation. This is the case where the house is slightly elevated, or the property is slightly elevated.
That's correct.
How much higher do you start at, basically on the mound, than the sidewalk level?
It's about 1.5 feet, foot and a half, so
Okay.
it's
So
essentially a
basically-
4-foot fence on top of dirt.
So basically, you have a 4-foot fence on top of it.
Yep, if you measure it,
Which
it's
gives
4
you like 5.5 feet, am I correct?
I think it's almost 5 exactly from curb to the top of the fence.
Okay, and then on the other side, basically, you have a fence that gives you about how tall with the 1 foot plus?
So along the side and the rear, it's the same, it's a 6-foot fence plus about a 1-foot grade, so 7.
Okay. What's the consistency of the fence? Is it like a
PVC.
stockade fence?
PVC,
fence?
yeah.
Okay, so it's PVC fence.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And
I have a pet, I don't want him to be able to get through, the intention.
Did you put the fence up yourself, or was it there when you got the house?
By a licensed contractor, I've submitted that to the building department.
Okay, so when you submitted this to the building department with plans, right, was there an issue at that time? Or were the plans just approved and you built it? What caused you to come here, basically? Were the
Yeah,
plans
so I
denied?
did it
What
out of order.
happened?
I wasn't familiar with the process. I was replacing a fence and I added part to the front. So the side, there was a fence in the side and a fence in the rear, a 6-foot in the rear, about a 4 or 5-foot fence on the side. For when I bought the house, I bought it in 2020. I didn't know I needed to file a permit to replace a fence. The contractor told me I didn't need a permit. He installed the fence, and then I got a notice from the town. I promptly came down and filed to remedy. They asked me to get proof of his license, fill out the application. They told me I would be denied because it appeared to be above the height, and that I would have to appeal the case to come here before you all and explain.
Okay. So I'm just curious, did it turn out that the contractor who submitted the plan or who basically built the fence without, getting a permit, did he in fact have a license? Or did
He
that
is. His
satisfy?
licensed and insured. Yeah, that's been submitted.
All right, so, it seems to me that basically the height issue arises from the elevation of the property, not necessarily by the fence itself, and it doesn't really seem that you set out to build a big fence. I don't have any questions. Any members of the board?
Just one.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, if the fence gets old and you knock it down, are you planning on building another fence at that height? In other words, can we just say, we grant use of this particular fence until that fence is no longer usable, and at that point in time, you understand, in other words,
Yeah,
to grant
do it
the
over again?
use with a
Sure.
limitation.
Yeah, I have no objection to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the name of the contractor?
I have to look it up. Honestly, I haven't seen him in 2 months when he did this. Wait a minute. I think he just wanted to do the job quick and get paid quick, so he just told me I didn't need anything filed. So that's, where's the...
I'm guessing it wasn't like Rose Fence or, you know.
No, it was, I think he's out of Massapequa.
Like one of the big ones that.
You made it solid? You usually don't see a fully solid block fence on the side.
Yeah, I intend, so it's a two-family property. I rent out the upstairs. They have pets, I have pets, so I wanted to have two separate outdoor areas where you could have a pet without them sneaking under a fence. So that was really the idea. And the fence that was there,
That's pet space.
it is. There's a dog run, that's the intention for it. And it's gonna be pebble, gravel, stone, right? I don't want to stinky stained grass.
Don't worry about the name of the contractor. It's,
Okay,
it's,
I could find it.
I didn't know if you knew off the
I'm
top of
sorry.
your head.
No, I honestly, I don't. It's the first time I ever used them, and it'll be the last, honestly.
It's on the building permit, but it's
Yeah,
illegible,
yeah.
the handwriting's illegible.
The height of the fence you replaced was the same as this height?
So, no, on the side, I think the other one, I mean, it was probably 5 feet, like from the curb up, right? So this one is like, or maybe, I don't know, I'd be guessing at this point, but it was, if I'm standing, about yay high. So I don't know if that's 4 or 5 feet from the ground, but that ground is a foot above grade, so it's technically 6. And that was a chain link fence. It was worn, it was old, you know, there was nothing holding it together. And then in the back of my property, I border a bunch of restaurants. So, you know, having a fence that's that height is like almost a minimum requirement. I heard an earlier conversation about people having storage behind it. Like, I mean, I get chicken bones and all sorts of stuff. The higher that fence goes, honestly, the better, to stop them from just throwing stuff over, but that's a complaint for another day.
When did you build the fence? April this year?
Sounds about right. Probably about a week before I was told it was the wrong height. Didn't take very long at all.
Anybody else? Commissioner, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm good. I just propose that we grant it with the limitation as to this fence that was built in April 2024.
In other words, when they replace it, they'll get a permit and keep it moving forward.
Exactly.
Which will be a while.
Actually.
Exactly.
Hopefully I don't have to do that, yeah. Anytime soon.
The whole property's up. The whole property's elevated, right? These fences are to keep their dogs in. So now if you have a fence that, because the property's higher, they have to bring down to 3 feet, it's much easier for a dog to jump over the fence, so it kind of defeats the purpose.
Well, actually,
Is it really that big of a
I've got that
deal?
in my house. My house is elevated a couple of feet, and my fence is 2 feet, and I've got 2 dogs. When they sense the depth on the other side, they never jump. They just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a Jack Russell Terrier, he's pretty brave, he'll jump.
All right, so if you guys are going to grant the conditions, just state it clearly on the record. What?
I mean, just so I'm clear on what I agreed to, that at that time, I could reapply, and,
When it's time to
Yeah.
to redo the fence,
Yeah.
you would have to reapply.
yeah, okay, that's fine, and
You're
that's
allowed to maintain the existing fence.
Exactly.
understood.
It's not a permanent allowance.
Okay, I get it, that makes sense, I appreciate it. Well, assuming it's an okay.
So I would move to grant, subject to the limitation as to the existing fence which was constructed in April 2024. Is that right?
Yeah, it sounds good.
I'll second that.
Yeah, according to the permit, it was April of 2024. Okay. All right. Hold on.
Is that good?
No, yeah, not yet. Case number 3426, application of Robert Iannarone of 147 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-106.17 fence height limitations for a 5-foot high fence in the front yard and a 7-foot high fence in the side yard at 147 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 110, Lot 55, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Markowitz has introduced a motion to grant that it stays with the limitations of the existing fence construction in April of 2024.
Correct.
And Commissioner Alvarado has seconded that motion with conditions. Commissioner Alton?
Grant without conditions.
Commissioner Markowitz?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Alvarado?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner De Pasquale?
Grant with conditions.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant with conditions.
This application has been granted with the conditions stated on the record.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Done.
That's it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Done.
This meeting is 7:25, 24 is now